Hey, good morning. Fancy's out on the walk. She is much happier today than she was yesterday. You'll notice I don't have a pack on. I know that I said we wear it even when we don't want to. This is not a matter of not wanting to. It's a matter of not having to. I need a recovery day. It's actually been 2 days since I did that long walk, and I busted my hump yesterday in the sun and little sunburned. Oh, Fancy is all over the place. She is so happy today. There's so much to see, so much to do. All right, get out of the weeds. Get out of the weeds. All right. There must be a critter up there. Anyway, so what to talk about? Well, a lot's happened. We live in well, I was going to say we live in a different world, but we don't live in a different world. We live in the same world. It's just become more clear to a lot of people after the events of the weekend. Go back and look at the date. You can figure it out if you don't know what it is. So what are we going to talk about today? Oh, so much. So much to talk about. You know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about the fact that I do not believe in grand conspiracies. Now, grand conspiracy in my definition is, you know, the smoke-filled back room with the evil overlords manipulating people and events to get the desired outcome, and it's the stuff of fiction. All right. Now, do conspiracies happen? Are there people that are conspiratorial? Are there people that are manipulative? Yes, there are. But the idea that the world is run by a series of grand conspiracies, like what a lot of people like to believe, is just it's not a fact in my mind. Because one basic thing, people can't keep secrets. You know, think about your own personal life. You get more than two people involved in something to be secretive, and it doesn't work because people start blabbing, and the more people you get, the bigger the leaks. All right, so the idea that there's this cabal of people doing that stuff across the globe just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, what I will say is you don't have to have grand conspiracies to get things to happen. All you have to do is create circumstances and let nature take its course. Case in point, let me give you an example. As a young parent, I wanted to teach my kids lessons. And instead of telling them no, don't do that, and then putting my foot down and not allowing them to do that, what I would do is I would create a situation that I was pretty sure what the outcome was going to be, and then I just let nature take a course. And then once something bad happened to the kids, I make sure it wasn't too terribly bad. You know, nothing that hurt them long term or you know, physically hurt them. But I would let them make their mistakes and then use it as a teaching moment. All right. So, what does that have to do with what went on this weekend and what's been going on just over the years? So, do you guys know what fellow travelers are? Fellow travelers are like-minded people that you meet in your life, and you know, you have no coordination with them, but you think alike, and as a result you get similar outcomes from your actions, right? The path they're on leads to similar outcomes. You know, what happened this weekend to former President Trump, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions, you know, having been trained and worked in physical security, national security level type of stuff. I got some serious questions about the protection scheme. And Dan Bongino did a interview with Fox, and he said it flat out. He said that the only person that saved Donald Trump's life this last weekend was Donald Trump, right? So there's some major questions. And hang on, I got to get untangled. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene over a week ago had said something about the refusal of the DOJ to give the Trump detail more assets and more people after being requested multiple times. The shooter, it was only a matter of time. Everybody's asking why. That's probably the easiest question to answer out of all this, because he fits a mold. Young 20-something, access to a firearm that they cannot afford, misdirection on their part. If you go back and find some unscrubbed social media of the guy, it's obvious that he's not a Republican, even though he was registered a Republican. And the mainstream media, that's the first thing. Oh, he was a Republican. Why would a Republican want to take out their own candidate? It's misdirection. Now, there's no grand conspiracy that put all this stuff together. It's just a matter of creating the right circumstances and letting nature take its course. Same thing happened in 2020 with the election. There's still a pile of questions as tall as I am about inconsistencies in voting and reporting that were never answered. And the fellow travelers in the media with the 2020 election didn't care. They knew that was something that they did not have to answer, or they did not want to answer. So that it's just a matter. It's how do I put this? It's a result of all the indoctrination and propaganda that's been put out there. The academia and the media and entertainment and the political people, they're all saying the same thing. And of course, it's going to get the easily manipulated, pointed in the same direction, and all looking towards the same goal. And if you think about it, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump was long overdue. And here's why. Because Donald Trump is Hitler. According to tons and tons of leftists, Donald Trump is Hitler. And it's okay to punch a Nazi. And if Donald Trump is Hitler, the biggest Nazi of all, then it's okay to try to kill him. I mean, you're doing society a favor. And you can go back over the last couple of weeks since that presidential immunity ruling by the SCOTUS. You can go back over the last couple of weeks and see multiple politicians, media pundits, celebrities, and just regular old street level leftists talking about how it's okay now to take out Donald Trump. It's not a big shock. It's not a big shock. And here's the thing. If they can do this to Donald Trump, what do you think they're going to do to you and I whenever they get around to it? All right? This is the big question that we need to ask ourselves. If they can do this to Donald Trump, what will they do to us? Well, we know what they'll do to us. There's been multiple Trump supporters shot and killed by leftists. There's been multiple businesses destroyed by leftists. We know what they'll do. So we need to act accordingly, and we need to prepare accordingly. You know, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is the biggest takeaway that we as everyday citizens should get from this whole thing. Oh, hang on. Come on. This is the biggest thing that we as everyday citizens should take away from this whole thing, is that the climate in America has changed. This is not 1980s America whenever John Hinckley tried to kill Ronald Reagan. You know, back then the Democrats as a political party were not about completely destroying and demonizing people that did not think like they did. Sure, there was competition between ideologies, but it wasn't radicalized like it is now. And everyday Reagan supporters were not being beaten and shot and killed on a relatively regular basis. All right, so it's a different world we live in, and we need to prepare accordingly. And what does that mean? You know, the standard answers. The standard answers are going to be work on those three pillars of modern homesteading: community, food independence, and modern self-reliance. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. You know, if you're a lady in the crowd, you know, it's a very dangerous, it's becoming an even more dangerous world out there for you. What with the rampant migration, the open border, and crime going up, you know, I would suggest that you ladies out there get into some sort of organized firearms training. There's an organization called the Well-Armed Women, and they've got chapters all over the country, and I am a big proponent of them. I think every woman should get into these classes and learn how to defend themselves with a firearm. You men, you too need to start working on self-defense. And I'm not talking the tactical, high-speed, low-drag, you know, AR-15 classes. You need to get into down and dirty gunfighting classes. Learn how to use your gun in a gunfight. You know, because let's face it, if you're like me, and most of you are, you know, you're old, out of shape, you're past your prime, and you're not going to go around kicking indoors. But what you can do is you can defend yourself and your family if you're out and about and you run into these people that are violent and are willing to use violence against you because of your political beliefs. Excuse me. You know, sorry if this ended up being a little black pill session there at the end, but it's one of these things that we need to talk about. You know, the whole thing is kind of thrown things into a topsy-turvy sort of motion. You know, but what we don't need to do, hang on, we got to backtrack. What we don't need to do is we don't need to spout a bunch of rhetoric and make a bunch of over-the-top claims about what we're going to do, because you know as well as I do that we're not going to do, when I say we, I mean as a group, we're not going to do what all the knuckleheads that are like preaching for extreme responses, you know. That's exactly what they want. You know, should we be willing to have extreme responses? Yes, we should. And that's where the becoming prepared comes into play. You know, all right, listen, we're back at the house. Look at that. Ooh, I mowed last weekend, or Saturday. Looks good, don't it? A hell of a lot better than it did when we first moved in. All right, guys, listen. Got the package from the new affiliate. I got to do a video on it, and hopefully I'll have it done in the next day or two, so you guys, I can introduce you to this new affiliate. Need you guys to go out there, keep your head on a swivel, understand that There's not a great big conspiracy behind you. It's just a bunch of people that think the same and want the same goals, and they're willing to walk all over you to get them. Most importantly, after you subscribe, go out and live a life done free. Take care. Thanks, Milo.